First contact. In the vast expanse of the cosmos, where countless civilizations thrived and perished, the planet Earth remained an enigma. To the advanced species of the Galactic Confederation, this blue marble was a subject of curiosity and concern. It was to this world that Zara, a distinguished xenanthropologist from the planet Lumina, found herself assigned. Zara's sleek, silver spacecraft pierced Earth's atmosphere, its advanced cloaking technology rendering it invisible to human detection systems. As she descended, her large, almond-shaped eyes took in the patchwork of green and blue below. Her iridescent skin shimmered with anticipation and a hint of apprehension. The mission briefing echoed in her mind. Observe and analyze the human species. Determine their potential for galactic citizenship or their threat to cosmic peace. It was a weighty responsibility, one that Zara took seriously. Her people, the Luminians, prided themselves on their emotional detachment and logical approach to the universe. Humans, from what they knew, were quite the opposite. As the craft touched down in a secluded forest clearing, Zara activated her appearance-altering nanobots. Within moments, her translucent skin took on a more human-like opacity, and her elongated limbs shortened to match human proportions. She would blend in, but her otherworldly grace and ethereal beauty remained unmistakable. Zara stepped out of her craft, her bare feet touching Earth's soil for the first time. A rush of sensations flooded her highly tuned senses, the earthy smell of the forest floor, the gentle rustle of leaves, the distant call of unfamiliar creatures. It was overwhelming, yet exhilarating. With cautious steps, she made her way towards the edge of the forest, where human civilization awaited. Her databanks were filled with information about Earth's cultures, languages, and customs, but experiencing them firsthand would be an entirely different matter. As she approached a small town, Zara activated her universal translator and prepared herself for her first interaction with humans. The streets were busy with activity, people hurrying to and fro, vehicles emitting noxious fumes, the cacophony of human voices filling the air. It was chaotic and disorganized, so unlike the serene efficiency of Luminian cities. Zara's first encounter came in the form of a small human child who bumped into her legs while chasing a ball. The child looked up at her with wide eyes, mouth agape in wonder. Zara froze, unsure of how to respond. Her training hadn't prepared her for the intensity of a child's curious gaze. "Sorry, miss," the child squeaked before scampering away, leaving Zara both relieved and intrigued. As she continued her exploration, Zara couldn't help but notice the stark contrasts in human society. There were signs of remarkable technological advancement alongside primitive practices. Humans seemed to be in a constant state of motion, their emotions plainly visible on their faces: joy, anger, love, frustration, all displayed without restraint. In a local park, Zara observed a group of humans engaged in what appeared to be a mating ritual. Two individuals were locked in an embrace, their lips pressed together in what her databanks identified as a kiss. The raw display of affection both fascinated and repulsed her. On Lumina, reproduction was a clinical process devoid of such physical intimacy. As night fell, Zara found herself overwhelmed by the sensory input of her first day on Earth. She retreated to her hidden spacecraft, eager to compile her observations and transmit her initial report to Lumina. In the quiet solitude of her ship, Zara's thoughts whirled. Humans were far more complex than she had anticipated. Their capacity for both creation and destruction, love and hate, rationality and impulse, it all seemed paradoxical to her logical mind. As she prepared her report, Zara realized that her preconceptions about humans were already being challenged. They were not the simple, primitive beings some in the Galactic Confederation believed them to be. There was a vibrancy to their existence, a zest for life that both intrigued and unsettled her. Her report concluded with a recommendation for further, more in-depth study. The humans, she noted, had potential, but also posed possible risks. Their unpredictability made them a wild card in the galactic community. As Zara drifted into her regenerative sleep cycle, her mind was filled with images of the day, the child's wonder-filled eyes, the passionate embrace in the park, the bustling streets teeming with life. She knew that her journey to understand humanity had only just begun, and she'd found herself, much to her surprise, looking forward to what the coming days would bring. Little did Zara know that her carefully planned mission was about to take an unexpected turn. In the days to come, she would encounter experiences that would challenge everything she thought she knew about humans, about her own species, and about herself. The true nature of humanity, in all its complexity, resilience, and potential, was yet to be revealed. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Zara prepared herself for another day of observation. But fate had other plans that would lead her far from the comfortable confines of human civilization and into the wild heart of Earth's untamed wilderness. It was there, in the crucible of nature, that Zara would truly begin to understand what it meant to be human. The wilderness encounter. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Zara ventured deeper into the wilderness, leaving behind the chaotic bustle of human settlements. Her mission had taken an unexpected turn when her senses detected an anomalous energy signature deep within an uncharted forest. Intrigued by the possibility of discovering advanced human technology hidden from the world, she set out to investigate. The forest was unlike anything Zara had ever experienced. Towering trees reached towards the sky, their canopies creating a verdant cathedral. The air was thick with the scent of earth and vegetation, punctuated by the calls of unseen creatures. As she walked, her feet sinking into the soft forest floor, Zara felt a strange sense of connection to this wild place. Hours passed as Zara navigated through the dense undergrowth, her advanced tracking systems guiding her towards the source of the energy signature. The forest grew denser, the light dimmer, and an eerie silence fell over the woods. Suddenly, her senses began to malfunction, static clouding her usually crystal-clear readouts. A twig snapped behind her. Zara whirled around, her heart racing. There, emerging from the shadows like a spectre of the forest, stood a human male. He was tall and lean, his skin bronzed by the sun, with piercing green eyes that seemed to look right through her. A worn backpack hung from his broad shoulders, and in his hand he held a crude wooden spear. For a moment, they stood frozen, regarding each other with a mixture of curiosity and wariness. Zara's mind raced, searching for the appropriate protocol for this unexpected encounter. The man spoke first, his voice rough but not unkind. "You're a long way from the hiking trails, miss. Are you lost?" Zara hesitated, her universal translator working overtime to decipher the local dialect. I'm exploring," she managed, her voice sounding strange even to her own ears. The man's eyes narrowed slightly, taking in her appearance. Her clothes, while designed to blend in, were oddly immaculate for someone trekking through the wilderness. "Exploring, huh? Well, you've wandered into a dangerous part of the forest. There are predators out here that wouldn't think twice about making a meal of a lone traveler." As if to emphasize his point, a distant howl echoed through the trees, causing Zara to flinch involuntarily. The man noticed her reaction and his expression softened slightly. "Name's Ethan," he said, lowering his spear. "I got a camp not far from here. It'll be dark soon, and trust me, you don't want to be out here alone at night. You're welcome to stay until morning if you'd like." Zara weighed her options quickly. Her mission parameters allowed for limited interaction with humans if necessary for her safety or to further her research. This Ethan, wild as he appeared, could provide valuable insights into human behavior in extreme environments. "Thank you," she said, inclining her head slightly. "I would appreciate that." As they walked towards Ethan's camp, Zara studied him surreptitiously. He moved through the forest with an ease that spoke of years of experience, his steps silent, his eyes constantly scanning their surroundings. He was so different from the humans she had observed in the town. There was a rawness to him, a connection to the natural world that both fascinated and unnerved her. Ethan's camp was a simple affair, a small clearing with a lean-to shelter made of branches and leaves, a fire pit, and various tools and equipment scattered about. He quickly set about building a fire as the light began to fade. "So," Ethan said as he worked, "what brings you out to these parts? Not many people venture this deep into the wilderness unless they're running from something, or looking for something." Zara chose her words carefully. "I am a researcher. I study human behavior in different environments." Ethan chuckled, a sound that sent an unexpected shiver down Zara's spine. "Human behavior, huh? Well, you've certainly come to the right place. Out here, you see people for who they really are. No masks, no pretenses, just raw human nature." As the fire crackled to life, casting dancing shadows across the clearing, Zara found herself drawn into conversation with Ethan. He spoke of his life in the wilderness, of the beauty and brutality of nature, of the peace he had found far from the trappings of modern civilization. Zara listened, captivated. This human, this Ethan, defied all her preconceptions. He was intelligent, articulate, and possessed a deep understanding of the natural world that rivaled even the most advanced Dominion ecological databases. As night fell and the forest came alive with the sounds of nocturnal creatures, Ethan shared his simple meal with Zara, fish he had caught earlier that day and wild berries. The flavors exploded on Zara's tongue, so different from the nutrient solutions she was accustomed to. "You're not from around here, are you?" Ethan asked suddenly, his green eyes reflecting the firelight as he studied her. "There's something different about you." Zara felt a moment of panic. Had her disguise failed? I'm from very far away," she said, which was, at least, not a lie. Ethan nodded slowly. "I can tell. You've got a look in your eyes, like you're seeing everything for the first time. It's refreshing, actually." As they talked late into the night, Zara found herself struggling with unfamiliar emotions. Ethan's presence stirred something within her, something she couldn't quite name. It was unsettling, yet not entirely unpleasant. When it came time to sleep, Ethan insisted Zara take the shelter while he slept by the fire. As she lay there, listening to the night sounds of the forest and Ethan's steady breathing, Zara's mind whirled with new questions and observations. This human, this wild man of the forest, had shown her a side of humanity she had never expected to encounter. His connection to nature, his self-reliance, his quiet strength, all of it challenged her understanding of what it meant to be human. As sleep finally claimed her, Zara's last thoughts were of Ethan's green eyes and the strange warmth she felt in his presence. Little did she know that their encounter in the wilderness was just the beginning of a journey that would change both of their lives forever and potentially reshape the relationship between Earth and the stars. Unexpected alliance. The dawn chorus of birdsong roused Zara from her sleep. For a moment, disoriented by the unfamiliar surroundings, she tensed. Then the events of the previous day came flooding back: the forest, the energy signature, and Ethan. She emerged from the shelter to find him already awake, tending to a small fire. "Morning," Ethan said, offering her a steaming cup of what her olfactory senses identified as some kind of herbal tea. "Sleep well." Zara accepted the cup, savoring the warmth against her hands. "Yes, thank you," she replied, surprised to find that she had indeed rested better than expected. As they shared a simple breakfast of foraged fruits and nuts, Zara found herself studying Ethan more closely. In the soft morning light, she noticed details she had missed the night before: a scar running along his jawline, the calluses on his hands, the way his eyes seemed to reflect the very essence of the forest around them. "So," Ethan began, breaking the comfortable silence, "you mentioned you were out here researching. What exactly are you looking for?" Zara hesitated, weighing her options. Her mission demanded secrecy, but something about Ethan made her want to trust him. "I detected an unusual energy signature in this area," she said carefully. "I came to investigate its source." Ethan's eyebrows rose. "Energy signature. That's not the kind of thing your average researcher goes looking for in the middle of nowhere." Before Zara could formulate a response, a distant rumble shook the ground. Birds scattered from the trees, their alarmed calls filling the air. Ethan was on his feet in an instant, his posture tense. "That's not natural," he muttered, eyes scanning the forest. "We should." His words were cut off by another tremor, stronger this time. In the distance, a plume of smoke rose above the treetops. Without a word, Ethan began gathering his gear. Zara watched, conflicted. Her mission parameters urged caution, secrecy. But the source of the disturbance could be related to the energy signature she had detected. "I'm going to check it out," Ethan said, slinging his pack over his shoulder. "You should head back to the trails. It's not safe here." Zara made her decision in that moment. "I'm coming with you," she said firmly. Ethan looked like he wanted to argue, but another tremor made him reconsider. "Fine, but stay close and do exactly as I say." As they made their way through the forest, Zara was impressed by Ethan's ability to move swiftly and silently despite the rough terrain. She found herself having to engage her enhanced physical abilities to keep up. The source of the disturbance soon became clear. In a large clearing, they found what appeared to be the crash site of some kind of vehicle, but it was unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. "What the hell is that?" he breathed, crouching behind a fallen log. Zara's heart raced. The craft was unmistakably of alien origin, but not her own. Its design was angular and predatory, nothing like the sleek, organic shapes favored by Luminian technology. As they watched, a hatch on the craft opened with a hiss of escaping gas. A figure emerged, tall, reptilian, with gleaming scales and eyes that glowed with an eerie red light. Ethan's grip tightened on his spear. "Okay, I'm going to need you to tell me what's really going on here," he said, his voice low and intense. "Because that's not from around here." Zara knew her cover was blown, but as she looked at Ethan, she saw not fear or revulsion in his eyes, but a determination that stirred something deep within her. "You're right," she said softly, "and neither am I." With that, she deactivated her appearance-altering nanobots. Ethan's eyes widened as her true form was revealed, her iridescent skin, her elongated limbs, her large, almond-shaped eyes. To his credit, Ethan's surprise lasted only a moment before his focus returned to the immediate threat. "Okay," he said, his voice steady. "I'm guessing those guys aren't friends of yours." Zara shook her head. "No, they're draconians, a warlike species. If they're here, Earth is in danger." Ethan absorbed this information with remarkable calm. "Right, so what do we do?" The question caught Zara off guard. "We?" But as she looked at Ethan, she realized that in this moment, they were allies, human and alien, united against a common threat. "We need to disable their ship," Zara said. "Prevent them from calling for reinforcements." Ethan nodded, a grim smile playing on his lips. Disable an alien spaceship. Sure, why not? Just another day in paradise. As they formulated their plan, Zara found herself marveling at Ethan's adaptability. Here he was, faced with the reality of alien life, and instead of panicking, he was focused on the task at hand. Their plan was simple but risky. Ethan would create a distraction, drawing the Draconians away from their ship. Meanwhile, Zara would use her advanced knowledge to sabotage the craft's systems. As Ethan prepared to put their plan into action, he paused, looking at Zara intently. "You know, for an alien you're all right," he said with a wry smile. "Let's save the world, shall we?" With that, he disappeared into the underbrush. Moments later, the sound of Ethan's voice rang out, taunting the Draconians in an impressive display of bravado. As the reptilian aliens charged into the forest after Ethan, Zara made her move. Racing to the ship, she began the delicate process of disabling its systems. Her heart pounded as she worked, acutely aware of the sounds of pursuit in the forest. Ethan was risking his life to buy her time. This human, who owed her nothing, was putting everything on the line to protect his world. As she finished her sabotage, a cry of pain echoed through the trees. Ethan, without hesitation, Zara ran towards the sound, her own safety forgotten. She found Ethan cornered by two draconians, clutching a wounded arm. Without thinking, Zara launched herself at the nearest alien, her Luminian strength catching it off guard. Together, human and alien fought side by side. Ethan's wilderness skills and Zara's advanced abilities proved a formidable combination. As the last draconian fell, Ethan and Zara stood panting, looking at each other with newfound respect and something deeper, a connection forged in the heat of battle. "So," Ethan said, wincing as he examined his injured arm, "I guess we've got a lot to talk about." Zara nodded, a smile tugging at her lips despite the gravity of the situation. "Yes," she agreed, "I believe we do." As they made their way back to Ethan's camp to tend to his wounds and plan their next move, Zara realized that everything had changed. Her mission, her preconceptions about humans, her understanding of her place in the universe, all of it had been turned upside down in the span of a day. And as she looked at Ethan, this remarkable human who had fought alongside her without hesitation, she knew that their unexpected alliance was only the beginning of a journey that would reshape both of their worlds. The journey within. As the adrenaline of their encounter with the Draconians faded, Zara and Ethan found themselves back at his camp, the weight of their new reality settling upon them. Zara carefully tended to Ethan's wounded arm, her touch gentle as she applied a healing salve from her own medkit. "So," Ethan began, breaking the loaded silence, "I think it's time for that talk." Zara nodded, her large eyes meeting his. "Where would you like me to start?" "How about the beginning?" Ethan suggested, a wry smile playing on his lips, despite the gravity of the situation. And so, as the forest settled into the quiet hum of early evening, Zara began her tale. She spoke of Lumina, her distant homeworld, of the Galactic Confederation, and of her mission to Earth. She explained the complex politics of the cosmos, the delicate balance of power between species, and the potential threat that humanity, with its rapid technological advancement and unpredictable nature, posed to that balance. Ethan listened intently, his green eyes never leaving Zara's face. He asked pointed, intelligent questions that surprised her with their insight. As the story unfolded, Zara found herself revealing more than just facts about her mission. She spoke of her own doubts, her struggle to understand the complexity of human emotions, the unexpected feelings that her time on Earth, and with Ethan, had stirred within her. As night fell and the stars emerged above the canopy, Ethan built up the fire, its warm glow creating a cocoon of light around them. When Zara finally fell silent, Ethan sat back, running a hand through his hair as he processed everything he heard. "You know," he said at last, "a week ago, if someone had told me I'd be sitting around a campfire with an alien, talking about galactic politics, I'd have thought they were crazy." He chuckled softly. "But here we are." Zara tilted her head, studying him. "You're taking this remarkably well," she observed. Ethan shrugged. "Out here in the wilderness, you learn to adapt quickly. Besides," he added, his eyes twinkling, "it's not every day you get to save the world from an alien invasion." His light-hearted response drew an unexpected laugh from Zara. The sound surprised them both, and for a moment they simply looked at each other, a new understanding passing between them. As the night deepened, their conversation turned more personal. Ethan spoke of his past, of the tragedy that had driven him to seek solitude in the wilderness. He told her of the loss of his family in a devastating accident, of his struggle with grief and guilt, and of the peace he had eventually found in nature. "Out here," he said, gesturing to the forest around them, "everything is real. There's no pretense, no lies. It's just life in its purest form. It helped me find myself again." Zara listened, moved by his story. She began to understand that humans' capacity for emotion, which she had once seen as a weakness, could also be a source of incredible strength and resilience. As they talked, Zara found herself opening up about her own inner conflicts. She spoke of the rigid structure of Luminian society, of the emphasis on logic and detachment, and of her growing realization that there was more to existence than cold, analytical observation. Being here, on Earth, she confessed, her voice soft, has made me question everything I thought I knew. The way humans live, the intensity of your emotions, your connection to each other and to your world, it's unlike anything I've ever experienced. Ethan reached out, hesitating for a moment before gently taking her hand. The touch sent a jolt through Zara, a sensation both alien and thrilling. Maybe that's not such a bad thing, he said quietly. Questioning what we think we know, it's how we grow. As the night wore on, their conversation meandered through topics both profound and mundane. They spoke of the vastness of the universe and the simple beauty of a forest stream. They debated philosophy and swapped jokes, each finding unexpected delight in the other's perspective. In the early hours of the morning, as the first hints of dawn began to lighten the sky, Zara realized that something fundamental had shifted within her. The rigid boundaries of her Luminian training had softened, allowing for a new understanding of humanity and of herself. Ethan, too, seemed changed by their long night of conversation. There was a new light in his eyes, a spark of curiosity and wonder that had been rekindled by Zara's tales of the cosmos. As they watched the sunrise together, its golden light filtering through the leaves, Ethan turned to Zara. "So what happens now?" he asked. "With the Draconians, with your mission, with us?" Zara considered the question, acutely aware of the warmth of Ethan's presence beside her. "I don't know," she admitted. "My mission parameters didn't account for any of this. But I do know that we can't ignore the Draconian threat. And," she paused, choosing her words carefully, "I find that I don't want to leave. At least, not yet." Ethan's smile was warm, understanding. "Well then," he said, "I guess we've got work to do." As they began to plan their next steps, Zara marveled at the unexpected turn her mission had taken. She had come to Earth to observe humanity, to assess its potential threat or value to the galactic community. Instead, she found herself drawn into the very heart of the human experience, forging a connection she never could have anticipated. The journey ahead was uncertain, fraught with dangers both earthly and cosmic. But as Zara looked at Ethan, she felt a surge of something new, hope, mixed with an emotion she was only beginning to understand. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, human and alien united in a common cause. And as the new day dawned, bright with possibility, Zara knew that her true journey, the journey within, had only just begun. Crisis and revelation. The following days were a whirlwind of activity as Zara and Ethan prepared to confront the Draconian threat. They divided their time between Ethan's wilderness camp and covert forays to the edge of civilization, gathering information and resources. Zara used her advanced technology to monitor global communications, searching for any sign of further Draconian activity. Meanwhile, Ethan tapped into his network of off-the-grid contacts, a loose association of survivalists and fringe scientists who might have noticed something unusual. As they worked, the bond between them grew stronger. Zara found herself constantly amazed by Ethan's resourcefulness and adaptability. He approached each new piece of alien technology or cosmic information with enthusiasm and quick understanding. For his part, Ethan was continually impressed by Zara's vast knowledge and her growing ability to think outside the rigid confines of her training. It was during one of their information-gathering missions to a small town that they first noticed something was terribly wrong. The streets were eerily quiet, the few people they saw moving with an unnatural stiffness. "Something's not right," Ethan muttered, his hand instinctively moving to the makeshift weapon at his side. Zara nodded, her sensors picking up abnormal energy readings. These people, they're being controlled somehow. Their suspicions were confirmed when they overheard a group of blank-faced townspeople discussing a great transformation that was coming. The Draconians had not been idle. They were already implementing some sort of mind control on a local scale. As Zara and Ethan hastily retreated to the safety of the forest, they realized the situation was far more dire than they had initially believed. This was no longer just about preventing an alien invasion. The invasion had already begun. Back at their camp, they pored over the information they had gathered. Zora's analysis of the energy signatures suggested that the Draconians were using a form of psychic technology to subvert human will. If they extend this control to major population centers, Zora said, her voice tight with concern, they could take over the planet without firing a shot. Ethan's jaw clenched as he processed the implications. So how do we stop them? Zara hesitated, her mind racing through possibilities. We need to find their central control node. If we can disrupt it, we might be able to break their hold on the human population. And how exactly do we do that? Ethan asked, raising an eyebrow. Zora's eyes lit up with a sudden idea. Your brain, she said, excitement creeping into her voice. Human brains, they're different from ours, more chaotic. If I could modify my sensors to use your brainwaves as a baseline, we might be able to track the source of the Draconian signal. Ethan blinked, taken aback. You want to use my brain as some kind of alien tech detector? Essentially, yes, Zora nodded, but it would require a deep scan. It could be intense. For a moment, Ethan was silent, considering the proposal. Then, with a determined nod, he said, let's do it. The process was indeed intense. As Zora calibrated her equipment to Ethan's neural patterns, he found himself overwhelmed by a flood of sensations and memories. Fragments of his past flashed before his eyes, the warmth of his mother's smile, the crushing grief of losing his family, the peace he had found in the forest, and intertwined with it all, new images, Zora's face, the touch of her hand, the sound of her laughter. When it was over, Ethan slumped forward, gasping. Zora caught him, her touch gentle and steadying. Are you all right? She asked, concern evident in her voice. Ethan nodded, slowly regaining his composure. Yeah, I'm okay. That was something else. As Zora helped him to his feet, their eyes met. In that moment, something unspoken passed between them, a deepening of their connection that went beyond words. With Ethan's brainwaves as a guide, they were able to locate the Draconian Control Center, a hidden facility deep in the mountains, disguised as an old military bunker. As they made their way there, they could see signs of the Draconians' growing influence. More and more people seemed to be under their sway, moving with that same eerie purposefulness they had observed in the small town. Reaching the facility proved to be the easy part. Inside, they faced waves of mind-controlled humans and Draconian soldiers. Ethan's wilderness survival skills and Zora's advanced technology made them a formidable team, but the odds were overwhelming. As they fought their way deeper into the complex, Zora was hit by a powerful psychic blast. She stumbled, her mind reeling under the assault. Ethan caught her, shielding her with his body as he returned fire. Zora, stay with me, he shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos in her mind. In that moment, as Ethan's concern for her overrode even his own safety, Zora had a revelation. This, she realized, was what it meant to be human. Not just the capacity for emotion, but the willingness to risk everything for another. It was beautiful and terrifying and more powerful than any technology she had ever encountered. Drawing strength from Ethan's presence, Zora pushed back against the psychic attack. Together, they fought their way to the central control room. There, they found the source of the Draconians' power, a massive psionic amplifier pulsing with malevolent energy. We need to shut it down, Zora said, her hands flying over the alien controls. Whatever you're going to do it fast, Ethan replied, taking up a defensive position at the door. We've got company coming. As Zora worked to disrupt the amplifier, Ethan held off wave after wave of attackers. The air crackled with energy as the machine began to overload. Just as it seemed they would be overwhelmed, the amplifier exploded in a burst of psychic energy. The blast knocked them both off their feet. As the dust settled, an eerie silence fell over the facility. Ethan helped Zora to her feet, both of them battered but alive. Did it work? Ethan asked, his voice hoarse. Zora nodded, her sensors confirming what they both hoped. The signal's gone. The draconian control over the human population should be broken. As they made their way out of the facility, they could see the effects of their victory. The blank-faced people they had encountered earlier were coming back to themselves, confused but free. Standing on a hillside overlooking the town, Ethan and Zara watched as life began to return to normal. The crisis had been averted, but both of them knew that this was only the beginning. The Draconians would not give up so easily, and Earth was now irrevocably part of a larger galactic conflict. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in brilliant hues of orange and pink, Ethan turned to Zara. "So what happens now?" he asked, echoing his question from days earlier. Zara looked at him, her iridescent skin glowing in the fading light. "Now," she said, a smile playing on her lips, "we have a galaxy to save." Ethan grinned, taking her hand in his. "Sounds like an adventure." As they stood there, human and alien united by shared struggle and growing affection, both knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The future was uncertain, but it was bright with possibility. For them, for Earth, and for the galaxy at large. A new understanding. In the weeks that followed their victory over the draconian mind control device, Zara and Ethan found themselves at the center of a whirlwind of activity. The defeat of the alien threat had not gone unnoticed, and soon they were brought into contact with a secret international task force dedicated to protecting Earth from extraterrestrial dangers. Initially, there was significant mistrust towards Zara. Many viewed her with suspicion, seeing her as just another potential threat, but Ethan stood firmly by her side, vouching for her character and her crucial role in saving humanity. Gradually, as Zara shared her knowledge of galactic civilizations and advanced technologies, the suspicion gave way to cautious acceptance and even admiration. During this time, Zara and Ethan's relationship continued to evolve. The intensity of their shared experiences had forged a deep bond between them, one that transcended the boundaries of their respective species. Zara found herself experiencing emotions she had never known before. The flutter in her heart when Ethan smiled at her, the warmth that spread through her body when they touched, the fierce protectiveness she felt towards him. For Ethan, Zara had become more than just an alien ally. She represented a new beginning, a chance to leave behind the isolation and grief that had defined his life for so long. Her presence filled a void he hadn't even realized existed, bringing color and wonder back into his world. As they worked with the task force to prepare Earth's defenses against potential future invasions, Zara and Ethan also took time to explore their growing feelings for each other. They spent quiet evenings stargazing, with Zara pointing out distant worlds she had visited and Ethan sharing the human myths behind the constellations. They went on hikes through the wilderness, Ethan teaching Zara the names of Earth's plants and animals, while she marveled at the planet's biodiversity. One evening, as they sat by a tranquil lake, the water reflecting the star-studded sky above, Ethan turned to Zara with a serious expression. "Zara," he began, his voice soft but steady, "I know this is complicated. We're from different worlds, different species even, but I can't ignore what I feel for you. You've changed my life in ways I never thought possible." Zara felt a surge of emotion at his words. "Ethan," she replied, her large eyes shimmering with unshed tears, "when I came to Earth, I thought I was here to study humans. Instead, I found something I never knew I was missing. You've shown me what it truly means to be alive, to feel, to love." As their eyes met, the distance between their worlds seemed to vanish. Ethan leaned in slowly, giving Zara time to pull away if she wanted, but she didn't. Their lips met in a gentle kiss, a moment of connection that seemed to bridge the vast gulf of space and time that had once separated them. When they finally parted, both were breathless, overwhelmed by the intensity of their feelings. But their moment of intimacy was interrupted by an urgent beeping from Zara's communication device. The message she received changed everything. The Galactic Confederation, alarmed by reports of the draconian incursion and Zara's intervention, had decided to send a delegation to Earth. They wanted to assess the planet's readiness for official first contact. As Zara explained the situation to Ethan, his eyes widened with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "So, what does this mean for us, for Earth?" he asked. Zara took a deep breath. "It means everything is about to change. Earth will be officially recognized as part of the galactic community. But it also means you'll need representatives, people who can speak for humanity in galactic affairs." A slow smile spread across Ethan's face as he realized the implications. "And I suppose you have some candidates in mind?" Zara nodded, her expression serious, but her eyes twinkling with excitement. Who better to represent humanity than someone who has already faced alien threats and worked alongside an extraterrestrial ally? Someone who understands both the beauty and the danger of the wider universe. Ethan stood, pulling Zara to her feet with him. He looked out over the lake, then back at her, his expression determined. "If this is what Earth needs, then I'm ready, but only if we do this together." Zara squeezed his hand, her heart swelling with affection and pride. "Together," she agreed. In the days that followed, they worked tirelessly to prepare for the arrival of the Galactic Confederation delegation. Zara briefed Earth's leaders on galactic protocols and etiquette, while Ethan used his unique perspective to help craft humanity's first official message to the stars. When the day finally arrived, Zara and Ethan stood side by side as the sleek ships of the Confederation descended from the sky. As the alien delegates emerged, resplendent in their diverse forms and colors, Ethan felt a moment of vertigo at the sheer magnitude of what was happening. But then he felt Zara's hand in his, anchoring him. He looked at her, this beautiful, incredible being who had changed his life and the fate of his entire planet. She smiled at him, her love and support evident in her gaze. As they stepped forward together to greet the delegates, Ethan knew that this was just the beginning. There would be challenges ahead, misunderstandings to navigate, and new threats to face. But he also knew that together, they could handle anything the universe threw at them. Earth was taking its first steps into a larger universe, and Zara and Ethan were at the forefront, a living symbol of the potential for understanding and love across the stars. Their journey had started with fear and suspicion, but it had blossomed into something beautiful and profound, a bridge between worlds, a testament to the power of connection, and a beacon of hope for the future of both their species. As the formal introductions began, Ethan squeezed Zara's hand one more time. Whatever the future held, they would face it together, human and alien, united in love and purpose, ready to help guide Earth into a new era of galactic citizenship. The stars above twinkled brightly, as if in approval, witnesses to this historic moment when the boundaries between worlds began to blur, and a new chapter in the story of the universe was about to be written.